I gotta say, I definitely enjoyed this part two more than part one.
If it wasn't for oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming back with a new review, and this time it's on part two of the Selena series. If you haven't checked it out, I reviewed part one a few months ago. Part two just came out a couple of days ago, and I was so excited to watch it. I watched it in a night and a half. You know, that's how excited I was. It was 9 parts, and we already, you watched the first one, you know that this one it digs deeper. It's more intricate details. It's more to the story than the movie. The movie can only do so much. It's only that movie was like an hour and a half. This series, especially this part two, it digs deeper, especially as it gets into the height of Selena's career, the Selena that most of us know. The first part was about her growing up, her childhood, her humble beginnings. And in the beginning of part two, she's not like all the way at the top, but you see her steady rise there, right? Part two, you really get an intimate look at her life, her love life, her family life, her career, and everything in between. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this. And especially the pacing was a little bit better because, you know, for the first part, the pacing was a little slow. I fell asleep many times, you know, but this pacing was a little better. And I gotta say that, you know, maybe it's my bias because this is the Selena that we all know with the long black hair and everything, but I really enjoyed this part two much better than the first part. So, getting into part two, it picks up where it left off, where the father found out that Selena and Chris were seeing each other, so he just left him on the side of the road with money, as he said he did, right? And it's just like, it's that whole dynamic of Selena's growing up, right? She's not no little girl anymore, singing with the peach can lights and, you know, just following daddy and his sister and brother around, just singing in any little club. She's grown up. She's a teenager, late teens, early 20s now, right? So she's gonna start liking boys. She has Chris, and same thing with her brother, same thing with Suzette. And I really like how, especially in this part two, they showed the parallels between Suzette and, you know, and her fiance and her husband eventually, and even Selena. And it was just like that dynamic of like, oh, like everybody else can be happy with their love life, but Selena gotta sit and she gotta bottle up her emotions. She gotta bottle up her romantic feelings because she's Selena. She's the star. She can't have no love life, you know? And basically, after a while, her family and everybody, they realize it's just like, you know, she's a star, she's a singer, she's the lead, whatever, whatever. But she has a life outside of this, you know? She's not gonna be twirling around the stage in sparkly outfits forever. She gotta eventually settle down, have a family, and live her life, you know? And another thing I really enjoyed is how they showed Selena's climb to that superstardom, you know, with her record label and, you know, the struggles she had with her brother. And really, this series digs deep into Selena finding herself as an artist, you know, really honing her craft. Because, you know, growing up in the family dynamic, you know, like your family, you just do cover songs, or, you know, your father or the brother telling her how to sing, what to sing. But it comes a time when it's like you got to pick songs for you. You're the artist, especially after she signed that thing to go solo and she's supposed to release and become like an international star. You got to really find your artistry, hone your craft, and really find like, what type of songs do I want to sing? How do I want my music videos to look? You know, she already had her style and her hair, all of that was set. But it was all about finding herself as an artist. And I really liked how this series dug deep into that. Way more than the movie did. Because the movie, like I said, can only do so much. But this series, you really got to see the development and the growth of Selena as an artist. And you could just tell by the end, she had it down packed. Like, everything was perfect. You know, I'm going to get more into that. Also, in this series, I love how it showed the intimate moments of Selena with her loved ones. Not only with Chris, you know, and how eventually she ran off to get married with him and now hold the Baku, but also with her sister and her father and her mother and her brother, you know, and even sometimes her fans and like the people at her record company. It's just like those little details, those little moments, those little scenes where you really got to depict like, wow, because you just know Selena the star and you just know, oh, okay, she had to do the crossover, and then, but you really get to see those little moments, and they really put together the whole story and the whole image of how Selena was balancing everything from her family life to her career to her love life to just everything she had on her plate as she was rising to that superstar status. And it was just like, wow. And even in some cases, you saw the struggle her loved ones had with becoming like second rate to her. Like sometimes Chris felt like, oh, I'm just Selena's husband. Oh, I just stay in the house and clean up after the dog and take care of the pets while Selena's out being the big star. You know, I gotta carry her dress around. You know, that type of thing. Even Suzette, her sister, where Suzette felt like, oh, Selena's a star and, you know, we're just her band members. And it's just like, you know, she was playful with it, but you could tell that there was, I don't want to say jealousy, but there was some type of like almost a resentment or like some type of like that made them feel some type of way. And it's just like, yeah, you know, you grew up in a family unit and, you know, Chris, they had a romance together, but then it's like when it's in public, it's like, oh, Selena's a star and y'all just her background people, you know, that type of thing. So that was another dynamic that was interesting to see. And just the visuals of it put everything into perspective from their point of view. And while I'm at it, I just gotta say, I love that scene. I love the scene and the irony and the symbolism of when it showed the flashback of that barnyard that they almost had to stay in and sleep in and live in because they was going through hard times. That ended up becoming the studio Selena recorded her chart-topping, record-breaking, award-winning hits in. It's just like, wow, that whole entire scene, the symbolism, the irony, and the juxtaposition of when it showed them almost having to sleep in that, and how that's the studio that she records her chart-topping songs in now, it was astonishing. It was just like, wow, like, was you witnessing the real come-up of Selena and her family. Another thing is balancing the fantasy. And this is a scene when, you know, she eventually announced that Chris was her husband and all the men in the audience was booing her. And, you know, they was outside and she was like, you know, after, you know, Selena had that type of thing where she was humble and funny, but she know how to get people together because she was like, all right, at the end of the day, I'm gonna twirl around this stage, I'm gonna da 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 with my nice little outfit, but at the end of the day, when the show is over, y'all dancing in the grass, right? Y'all gonna go home to y'all loved ones. I'm gonna go home with my husband. What's the problem? You know what I'm saying? The father was telling her about the fantasy about, oh, the women and girls want to be you, be like you. The men want to be with you. So if you ruin the fantasy of you having a husband, that ruins your image and artistry. But at the end of the day, Selena's just like, it's that balance. Even in today, and even throughout the history of time with celebrities, balancing being open with your fans and having your privacy, having your own life to yourself. Where, you know, you're a celebrity, your life is to the public, but you want to keep some things to yourself, right? You want to have your own love life. You know, you singing these love songs, but, you know, she got her husband. It is what it is. It's all entertainment, you know? And, you know, eventually she told the father and, you know, he understood where she was coming from. So I really like that scene right there. Now, getting into some things that threw me off a little bit in this series, in this part 2 of the series. Sometimes the wigs.
Oh my God.
Because it's like first part we was talking about that, but certain scenes, especially in the first 2 parts, she had like that little short hair wig thing and she had like a little bump. And it was just like, no, I don't remember Selena hair looking like that. Like sometimes it was obvious when she was wearing a wig and you could see like the hairline was just like, you know, that threw me off a little bit. And then sometimes the outfits, where it's just like, you could tell it was knockoff versions of Selena's real outfits. And of course, Jennifer Lopez in the movie, she got to wear some of Selena's actual clothing, like I think her Grammy dress, right? But in this series, part 2, I remember that purple leather jacket, you could tell it looked real knockoff and real cheap. And the Grammy dress scene looked real knockoff and real cheap. And the thing is, I've seen fans on Halloween wear certain Selena outfits and they look like the real deal. So if some fans around the world can find Selena outfits that look like the real thing, y'all can find the real outfits for a Netflix production. Like, come on. And another thing with that Grammy scene, the hair. Look at the real Selena at the Grammys. I literally had to pause and take pictures because I was like, ain't no way they did this to Just look at this. I know Selena had the little nice updo for the Grammys, but in this series they made it look so big and chunky and outlandish. Did someone speed dial Netflix hair department? What happened? What happened? But other than that, it was some scenes where like when they really had the makeup and the hair right, the makeup and the hair was right because I really saw the resemblance, I really saw the mannerisms. But sometimes the hair and makeup, specifically the hair, it just threw me off. And it was just like, Netflix, come on. A little thing that kind of threw me off was they, they had that little Beyonce scene. That whole Beyonce scene was just laughable. I understood what they tried to say, like with the inspiration of how Beyonce met Selena when she was young, and now Beyonce is this big superstar now. But it was like, really, really, where it's like they had Beyonce telling her mother was like, "Oh, who is that?" And then Beyonce was like, "Shut up, be quiet. She's a superstar. She's a singer." No, I tell y'all, when I seen that, I was like, she was like, "Be quiet. She's a famous singer." Beyonce, you was talking to your mother like that? Okay, on to the next. And of course, we all know how Selena's story tragically ended. We get more in depth into Yolanda. And at first, you get to see like she's real upbeat and positive, and that's the thing, that's the trickery. She seems like she seems like, oh, just a nice little sweet older lady, middle-aged lady. All right, she's gonna help you out with your business because you're so busy. But then I like how as the series went on, you get to really see how possessive and obsessive she really was over Selena. Where she had a shrine to her. She would light candles. She had pictures all over her wall in her apartment or her house or wherever she lived. And it was just like, wow. Even to the point where she would get jealous when Selena was talking to her husband or her business partner or her fashion designer or her family or interacting with her fans. This is like, lady, you're just working for Selena. Selena is friendly with you and all of that, but you're just working with her. You're working for her, And then you couldn't even do that right because you was embezzling money. So Yolanda, what was you really good for? What were you really good for?
Talking about some higher education, you're a dummy, bitch. You will never know shit. Don't nobody want you, don't nobody need you.
Yolanda the troll, what were you really good for? Nothing. And then for Yolanda, the little troll, to do what she did and basically end Selena's life because she couldn't control her rage or her jealousy or her anger, or she got caught up in her lies.
Now, you done pissed me off.
It's just so tragic how you realize it all ended because of that little troll called Yolanda. I don't like saying her name, but she's a part of Selena's story. Unfortunately, she is a part of Selena's story, and we had to see that. We had to see the scenes leading up to that. And to be honest, I have to say, in leading up into the last parts, I was wondering how they was going to wrap everything up because we all know how it ends with Selena and Yolanda. It was not graphic, of course, because it's like, first of all, who wants to really see that? We all know what's going to happen anyway. But they did it in a way where it was just like, okay, you knew it was eventually going to come, and it was just like, all right, okay, But I felt like at the end, when everything finally happened, and afterwards, it was a little rushed, and they kept saying 1 month later, 6 months later, a few years later, like they rushed that whole ending sequence, and it just really took away from the emotion of Selena actually being gone. It's certain parts that they hit that emotive spark, but I feel like after Selena's death in the series, they really like rushed it, and it was just like, all right, okay, it's over. Yolanda did what she did, and now it's just like, but I feel like they could have laid that out a little bit more, so you could really feel the emotions of Selena really not being here no more. In the end, you can see that Selena really had it all together. She really found the perfect balance of everything from her career to her family to, to where she's not feeling like she's neglecting her love life or her family life or her career. She was really finding that perfect balance, and she planned on having kids, and her and Chris was planned on buying a property and moving into a bigger house. And it's just like, her career was really going to take off with the English album, and she finally had everything set in stone But then that little troll Yolanda came in, and we all know what happened. But look at it now. Selena, 25, 26 years later, she got the series, she got all these awards, lifetime achievement from the Grammys, and in that little bit of time, 23 years of life, look what Selena was able to accomplish. Look at the legacy she laid out. Her family helped carry it all this time later, but it all comes down to Selena and her hard work, her family and their hard work, Chris and his hard work, and just, the love and admiration she had from her fans and her record company, and just, overall, it was a great story. I really enjoyed this part 2 more than part 1, and it just laid out the foundation of seeing Selena rise to becoming a big, famous superstar, but not only a famous superstar, but finding her way as becoming a good sister, becoming a good wife, becoming a good friend, and becoming an overall great person, while juggling her entertainment career. So I gotta say, in the scenes where Selena was performing and dancing, you really saw the mannerisms, and I really believed it more in this part than the first part. But there were times when the actress, Kristen Serrano, I think her name is, you could tell that she was getting tired, and I was just like, all right, I could tell. You could tell, like sometimes the lip syncing was a little off, but overall, she did a great job portraying Selena, I think. Especially in this part 2, all the actresses and all the actors did a great job. I could really see the resemblance and the mannerisms, and I didn't really keep up with Selena's family like that to really know, oh, that's how her sister really acted, that's how her brother really acted. But from the few interviews I've seen, I feel like each actor and actress did a great job. And I gotta say, at the end, I really wish that they wrapped it up a little better, because it ends with Selena in her white outfit and she just walks off into the dark, and I get the symbolism. It's like she's an angel walking off into the afterlife, and then it just shuts off, right? It just goes off. I really wish at the end they would have had some type of montage with real photos and real video clips of the real Selena, and they would have, like, how they have like little blurbs of like what she did in the last 25 years and all the awards she won, how many records she sold. I really wish at the end they would have had some type of montage of the real Selena, so it would really wrap everything all together. But for what it was worth, I really enjoyed watching part 2. And I want to know, what did y'all guys think about part 2 of the Selena series? Did you like it better than part 1? Did you like it better than the movie? What were y'all opinions of the Selena series part 2? Let's get this discussion started. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.